Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take another deep dive, but this time it's going to be something a little different. Our very first versus video here on Impact Cartoons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we have some special guests today. My original team from the Real Review. We have Chuck, aka Charlie Hustle, Marvelous or Supermoon, whichever name he's going by today, and Movie Mall. All right, gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Yeah, not a lot of energy there, Moan, but it's all right.
Fantastic.
So today, like I said, we're gonna have our first versus, and it's gonna be a tricky one today. So I had to bring my A team in. We're gonna have He-Man versus He-Man versus He-Man. That's correct. He-Man 83 versus He-Man 2002 versus He-Man Revelations, which is He-Man 2022. So first, we're gonna start with art and animation. Let's jump into it. Chuck, what are your thoughts here on 83, 02, and 22?
So I think with 83, there's this, at least when we're talking about this now in 2023, right? There's a softer 80s kind of cartoony vibe that you get that I appreciated. And it puts it ahead of 02 for me. 02 gives you some visual additions of technology now, right? You're seeing some different technologies in the swords and some of those kind of different things that weren't there in 83. And so while that's different, and of course, 22 gives you all the space age things that you want and all the light shows. But to me, there's something nostalgic about that 83 that puts it at the top of the list.
Maul, what are your thoughts?
You said Moan or Maul?
Maul.
Oh, I think Charles is right. There is definitely a nostalgia to the 83. It does bring you back as soon as you watch it. I'm thinking about lunchboxes and just sitting there in front of the TV with like some sort of snack. 2002 kind of creates that bridge that allows you to like kind of get more into the characters themselves. The animation is definitely more advanced, and I don't know. I appreciated like the more details they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm never going to like disrespect the battle cry of He-Man, on 83. So I don't know how I feel about which one's better. I think animation wise, I think the artistic wise, I'm gonna go with like 2002, I guess. But like I said, there's still a respect to 83.
So hold that boat just a second here. So Moan,
I don't think I vote. I'm just saying in terms of
okay, gotcha. All right, Moan, you're up next. What are your thoughts on the animation?
Well, here's the deal. Anytime it comes to any kind of animation, any kind of movie, as time goes on, the visuals are going to be better. But when it comes to He-Man, that 83 He-Man, the visuals with that it's bad. It's hard to say because that has a connection to me where when I see it, it brings more. Like it's like what Mom was saying. It brings more than just that's nice. No, it brings back me living my childhood again. Like I'm sitting in front of the TV eating a honey bun or something. Watching He-Man, getting ready to throw it up, like do the He-Man call. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, but visually, as time goes on, visuals always get better. So of course, the newer stuff will be more visual pleasing, but does it have that connection? I know.
So I definitely agree with you guys. So 83, from 83 through 22, you saw a progression of technology. So you saw the animation get better. So for me, I remember watching 83, and there was always that scene where He-Man would run towards the screen. It was kind of like you can tell it was done kind of by hand, maybe by flip book, and he was ran. It kind of was like slow motion, kind of a pause when he jumped in front of the screen, coming towards that screen. In 02, it was definitely a bit smoother, and the animation wise, and in 2022 was just completely is cutting edge technology they're using. Kevin Smith and that team. So as far as animation goes, let's get the votes in here. Chuck, who are you taking for as far as animation for He-Man?
I'm gonna go 83.
83. All right. Maul, what about you?
For animation?
Animation strictly.
Dang. Nostalgia. It makes me scream 83, but advanced technology forces me to go with I don't know. I have to go with 2000, man. I have to go in with 2002 for
2002
for animation.
All right, bro. That's nice. Mo, what about you?
I was hoping Jamal said something different because I don't agree with him much. I don't agree with him ever, but I'm gonna have to go with I was 2002. That's the one I'm going to go with. This is just strictly animation.
Yes, exactly.
Strictly animation.
All right. So I like those. And again, I'm actually going to go with 2022. As I said, the animation was just so smooth, so fluid. And for me, honestly, I would go 22, 83, and then 02. 02 was I liked 02. It was really good. It brought more, but I felt like the animation style for 83 was just a little better. Not saying nostalgia reasons, but that was a little better. So right now we have one for 83, one for 2 for 02, and one for 22.
I'm sorry, I didn't like the 22. I didn't like it.
So it's not a matter of liking.
It was over the top, bro.
It's not a matter of liking the animation. Was it better animation? Was the question. And so that's where I'm going with it.
So here's the quick issue. I'm not going to hold us here. There's something to be said about 83 and He-Man animation being cutting edge. You didn't see Jack superheroes like that until you saw He-Man, and you have to give it a little extra credence when you see that this is something that's brand new being out the box. 02 and 22, it's a sign of the times. 83 was a brand new vision.
I hear you. I agree with that. And when I say the topic is actually art and animation, so art style does count for something. Let's jump into plot here. So when it comes to the story of He-Man, right, and plot, there was 83, which was really made to sell toys. It was very episodic and kind of, I won't give my 2 cents there too much, but it was episodic and kind of repetitive, honestly. You had 02, which was actually, I'll come back to 02 in a second. You had 22, which had a very different story from anything we've seen before, right? He-Man really wasn't the lead for the first half of the season. It was really Teela's lead. It was kind of Teela's story arc for the season. And then in 02, 02 really opened my eyes because I thought it was very different. When you go from season 1 to season 2 and the story they told and kind of the backstory they told for the characters. So I felt that it was something fresh, especially coming like 20 something years later. Mon, what are your thoughts on the plots?
The plots to me, 83. 83 was good plot line to me. 22, was that even about He-Man? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing with 22? Like, what's happening? Is that a He-Man cartoon, or should we call it something else? And now 2002, that one I would agree with you. I think that one had more. I like the fact that it had more of the backstories and all that stuff. So I'm not giving a rating, but 83 and 2002, those are the two plot lines that I say were actually good.
Mhm.
22 trash. You know how I feel about this new iteration of cartoons. Trash. We're not going to go into it, but
All right, Maul, what are your
I'm
thoughts?
just saying, if you're going to make a cartoon about a character, the character should be the main character throughout the whole show.
Remember, the name of the show was actually wasn't it Masters of the Universe?
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily He-Man that one. But
Whatever.
Maul, go ahead.
Okay, let me start by saying that when I first watched He-Man back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
83 was everything. And the reason why it was everything was because I had to wait to see the next episode.
Okay.
It wasn't I can like go right into the next episode and into the next episode. That's what made 83 great, because it left me wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it now, particularly 2002, in a marathon state as a grown man. First of all, let me say, you are never, ever supposed to watch that many He-Man episodes in one. That's not supposed to do that. That's not.
I agree.
Whatever.
I agree.
It will ruin the greatness of He-Man for you. With that said, I definitely enjoyed the plot of 83. There was, like I said, the nostalgia of it definitely always left a deep impression for it in me. So definitely. But but even though I did marathon that 2002, that was a lot. As I got further and further into the plots of it, I was able to now start to see the depth of other characters outside of He-Man, which I did appreciate. So yeah, 2023.
No, I don't want to see other characters. It's He-Man. It's always been called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, right? Just because you take He-Man out doesn't mean it's not a He-Man show. We know what the Masters of the Universe is.
All right. Maul sounds a little bitter.
A little bit.
Chuck, you're up next. What about the plot? You as a writer, right? Yep, you have your writer perspective on this, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of
So as a writer, I think one of the things I care more about are subplots, right? Those smaller stories that help build the larger story, right? And I think we're not even going to talk about 22. We'll leave that. We'll leave that to the side, right? Because we're going to talk seriously. In 02, you saw amazing work in subplot writing. First off, we really got a great story of why on the Adam front, right? Because what you saw in the 02 version was Tila giving him this ribbing because he ran away in the first episode, right? And so Tila for the rest of the series was rubbing him the wrong way because, oh, you're a coward, you're this. And it shows you why Adam kind of did some of the things he did in the He-Man front. So that's really good. Really great subplot there. The second one you got, which we didn't get in 83, which I fell in love with instantly, is the Skeletor backstory, right? And him with the acid in the face and transforming into Skeletor. That's elite work right there in building subplots. 02 has that in spades. So I think when we start judging these things, we'll start talking about how good
the fact that they actually had familiar relations there. Adam, his father Randor, and Skeletor. I think Skeletor was his uncle in that version.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, so that was very different. I didn't expect that when I first watched it.
Yeah,
So-
and just the last part about that really quick is just the 83. Jamal alluded to it. It's unfortunately, the more you watch it, it's the same story every week, right? It's the same thing, and that's not to knock the writers during that time because we all loved it, but there wasn't much in terms of layered storytelling like you were getting into.
Agreed. So
it kind of reminded me of not to bring another show into it, but it definitely reminded me of like the X-Men series. Like the X-Men series is not a show that you're supposed to sit down and watch as a run through because it's so chopped up and so all over the place.
there's a reason for that. We won't go into that right now because it's a different story arc, and we are going to cover X-Men at some point. But it is a reason for that. It was just chopped up that way, and it was unfortunately nothing they can control. So really quick, let's get the votes in here for the plot. Maul, who are you taking for plot?
I'm definitely going to go with 2002.
Okay.
Which again takes nothing away from 83 because that was my joint back in the day when I was a kid.
But and it does. You didn't vote for it.
Snap! Snap!
On it, I got to appreciate it in each story, which although it was probably the same story, I got to like look forward to it. So, but I do respect the subplots of 2002.
Nice. Chuck, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely no debate. It's going to be 02. The writing there was really stellar.
All right, perfect. And Moan, you?
Yeah, can you make me go first next time? Because I don't want to seem like I'm agreeing with them, all right? I was going to say 02 anyways, and it had nothing to do with what those two guys said. 02 is the one for me. Pretty much, in all honesty, this is a battle between 02 and 83, period. Anyway, I don't recognize the 22.
And 02 for the clean sweep here because I am going 02 as well for the plot. Definitely superior plot compared to some of the others. Up next, the next category is action. Now, when it comes to action, this is an action cartoon, right? There are action toys, action figures, but this is an action cartoon. Mo, you have to go first now. Tell me, what are your thoughts on as far as these series and the action?
Again, since we're only talking about 02 and 83. So the action, I love the action in 83. I thought the action in 83 was new. And it's like Chuck said a little before, this was the original. So this was like the startup. So that has a different feel than you were saying 02 because it's coming from the ground up with that whole action and the fight scenes and all that stuff. So I like the action scenes in 83 a lot.
All right. Chuck, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Only because it's coming from the ground up. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
Go ahead, Chuck.
I think we're going to talk about just how good 02 was. I mean, it's probably going to end up being probably top 15 cartoons done. It's really, really well done, and it's so well. It takes on a modern day aura because that first scene in that first episode, they give you that energy right from the top. You know what I mean? In 83, they did a lot of build up in those early episodes to then get you to the fight scenes 15 minutes into the show, right? But 02, they started right at the top. Here's something I'm going to say that might surprise you guys. 22 was good too. Action wise, just strictly on the action, the fightings, those kind of entertainment levels of that, 22 was okay. It's not going to compare to 02, but 22 is in the conversation, and it's ahead of 83.
All right. Mo, what about you?
Actually, I was going to actually give the action scenes to 22.
Yeah, it's fair.
All right, so
anything of story plot or animation whatsoever, but I am giving action scenes to 22. I think just the technology and advancement of the art from that perspective is just unmatched, and I think they have to get the win for that. But I do love the action from 2002 though.
Mm-hmm.
That is it was very strong and intense. I did like it. But like I said, I shouldn't have watched it in the marathon form.
Are you soured? Are you soured because of marathon?
I am. It hurt. It did. It hurt. It hurt a lot. But yeah. And then 83 isn't really a conversation in this because it was a different time. There was a lot of buildup for fight scenes and stuff there. It almost reminded me of like wrestling back in the day. You know what I mean? Like you had to get all of that grand buildup before you even ran down to the ring. You know what I mean? Like
So
it also reminded me of Dragon Ball Z though. It's that buildup. It's still action though.
That is true.
That was one of the great things about Dragon Ball Z, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I agree with you guys to an extent. When it comes to 83, though, I felt like if you look back, I don't really remember them throwing a punch. He didn't punch people. Like he did a lot of punching of rocks, and he usually found a way to do something with a sword that resulted in not any physical violence. Which to me, like he's He-Man, he's a barbarian. You hit people. So 83, was kind of a little lacking there. 02, I liked a lot of acrobatics in that, a lot of aerial stuff in that. It was very high flying, and 22 was a bit more grounded as far as the fight scenes go. So I'll start with Moan. What as far as action goes, which one are you taking?
Now, I know I said a lot about 83, but I'm going to go with 02 when it comes to action. I'm going with 02.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Maul, what about you for action?
I'm going to have to go with 22?
22. All right. And Chuck, who are you taking for this?
I'm going to always sing the praises for the work that they did with the action scenes in 02, but 22 gets the nod here for the work that they did with that project. Really good job.
Gotcha. And for me, I'm also going to go with 22 just because, again, although 02 had a lot more aerial acrobatics and fighting to it, for me it felt, especially watching it now, like it was a little too much, backflips and stuff like that, too much fighting in the air. And 22 felt more real, a little bit more realistic, a bit more grounded. So I want to go with 22 as well for that. Now, going to our next category, which is a big one. Voice acting. All right. So if we're talking about voice acting for these three shows, not who we're taking yet, but Maul, tell me, what are your thoughts on the voice acting for the three shows?
Okay. First of all, 83 is unmatched in terms of voice acting. I feel like that was a time frame. That was a time when voices and acting were everything. Like there was the art to that was mastered in 83. It didn't have the technology and all the digital and all that extra stuff, so you had to rely on the ability of someone coming across that mic with a grand voice or a menacing voice, and I think that they had full reign on it for that. With that said, 2002, yeah, I think that's when the decline of perfecting the natural skills started to evaporate and started to rely more on the the action and the art.
Yeah.
And then of course, 2022, that's just all, smoke screens, bells and whistles. So yeah, I think I'd put it in that category.
No, that's pretty good. I disagree with some stuff there. I'll get to that in a second. But Mo, you're up next. Voice acting.
I don't know. Maybe Maul is hearing something that I don't know of, or maybe I didn't hear that they did it with AI or something. But I look at it as the same as the art. As time went on, the voice will get better. The voices get better. The syncing of the voices, all that, it gets a little better as time goes on. So I wouldn't say O2 is probably the best. I wouldn't go with that, but I'm not gonna say the one that I will not mention. I thought the voice
sure I
acting
will not mention.
I thought the voice acting in that was pretty good. I don't know. You said Smoke and Mirror. Was it done with AI or something? Or
Well, let me just say this: in 2002, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't even remember her name. The lady who was the protector of Grayskull.
Yeah,
the sorceress.
The sorceress.
Yeah.
Her voice was perhaps the most annoying voice I think I have heard in a long time. And the fact that she kept calling on Adam to save her made me wonder, what were you doing all this time before he got there?
before you even got there. all that from a voice. All that from a voice.
Well, that voice was it pierced through my soul. Like, it was like, please stop calling this man. He's busy.
Chuck, what about you?
I talked to you a moment ago about how the action and the artwork from O2, and even to an extent from the 22 projects, really put it a step ahead. But when you're talking about voice work, there's a reason why 83 is the GOAT. And it's because that voice work in 83 made up for all the artwork and all the technology you got in 02 and 22. That's why 83 is in the conversation, because they gave it back to you in the voice work. And so when we're talking about voice work only by itself, 83, and it's not. I don't even think it's close, honestly.
Okay. All right. So for
just
me,
really quickly in that,
yes,
and then just the last point. In 83, much to Jamal's point, I actually the voice of the sorceress was soft enough to where I felt, boy, she's an intriguing character. The voices in 02 and 22 for her didn't give me that same intrigue that 83 did. Not even talking about Adam or He-Man's voices, which obviously we know are a little bit different, but 83 is the gold standard.
So I agree with you guys for the most part there. Maul, I'm going to disagree with you on 22. So when it, and actually probably, so you said 22 was pretty all right, I guess, for the most part, I think. But sorry,
you said for 22, I said it was all right for voice.
I thought you said it was okay for the voice. So maybe you said it was okay.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you said at one point. Yeah, call me a liar.
I'm sorry for
2022, not 02.
Oh, honestly, I didn't even put 2022 in there as a factor at all.
He said 2022. He said 2022 was all smoke and mirrors.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha. So for me, and we haven't recorded, so we'll prove them wrong later. So for me, the problem with 2022 was it was miscast. Mark Hamill is amazing as Skeletor. Mark Hamill is amazing as the Joker in Batman. Mark Hamill is one of these voices that you hear and you automatically know it's Mark Hamill. Unfortunately, the lead character was miscast in this, which is Sarah Jessica Parker. No, sorry, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sorry. I like Sarah Michelle Gellar as an actress, but her voice didn't come across to me as Tila, as this kind of strong like warrior person. So that kind of thing was a little bit of a miscasting there. When it comes to O2, not really. No memorable voices in O2. In O2, there was no voice that stood out to me. If I asked you guys today, which voice in O2 stood out, you guys wouldn't be able to name any of those characters because it was fairly generic.
There is one.
Who was that?
Which one was it? What was it, dude? The Birdman.
Stratos.
Yeah, that's the dude from Seinfeld.
I don't know. I looked that one up. I don't know.
He had the British voice. He was like that actually stood out a little bit. I kind of liked his voice.
So for me, 83 was obviously the 80s in general. You had very strong voice acting when it came across to these shows, and one of the names you hear a lot on this channel is going to be Frank Welker and Peter Cullen, who are Megatron and Optimus Prime, and they are the gold standard when it comes to voices. So I kind of compare everyone when it comes to them. And in that time frame of the 80s, that's kind of what you got. You got a lot of that kind of golden age of voice acting. So since I'm gonna start off with me now and giving the vote. So for voices, I'm gonna go with 83. Mo, what about you?
I'm gonna go with 83. Now, again, I don't see the problem with the one we will not mention. I don't see the voice acting problem with that. I thought that was good. That's why I was just curious while Jerome was talking about Smokes and Mirrors. But 83 gets the nod from me.
All right, Chuck, what about you?
Yeah, it's 83 without a question.
Mo?
I think it's 83. With the 2022, I like when I said Smoke and Mirrors, I just basically meant like as a whole. Like I just didn't really think that. Other than Nation, I didn't really think that was a really good He-Man.
I hear you.
So
I hear you. So we got 83 for the sweep on voice acting.
I do want to say this though. Behold the Lord of Destruction. I love that line. That is. And you know I love my villains, but that's a great line.
It's iconic. So final category, fellas, and this is the big one: cultural impact / legacy.
Oh boy, here
right?
we go.
So I think we have a clean sweep here, but I'll let you guys tell me.
I don't even know why we even gotta go around the block with this one.
Moan, you can start. Go ahead, please.
Oh, there's no reason to go around the block. 2022. Oh gosh, I mentioned it. The one that we should not mention. It's to me, most of the people who like the He-Man universe hates that one. There's so many YouTube videos about how much they hate that one. So there's no legacy there. So this is about 02 and 83. And 83 is the one that started it off. So let's move on.
You voted for 83. Okay, God.
Well, no, I didn't vote yet. We're not doing the vote yet, but I'm saying. Come on.
All right, got you. Mo, what are your thoughts on legacies?
I mean, my legacies, my history started with 83. Honestly, like I can't even go beyond that. Like it's 83. Sorry.
Chuck, what about you? Legacies.
Here's the problem. Let's take 2002 out of the conversation. Let's do that first and foremost. 83, we're talking about 83 40 years later, right? That tells you what the legacy is, right? However, 40 years from now, there might be little girls talking about 2022 because they will see Tila as this ultra powerful character who carried He-Man in the story, regardless of its. We're talking about political impact. That's what we're talking about, societal impact, right?
Mhm.
And 40 years from now, this could be that same story for them. This is a toss-up for me right now.
Negative, because the little girls didn't watch it.
30% audience approval, just so we have that data, right?
30% what? Audience approval of females?
Overall.
Like what?
I listen, I don't have an answer right now. We'll come back to the voting, but it's very close between 83 and 22.
All right. So when it comes to legacies or cultural impact, you got to take a few things into consideration. When you're talking about shows from the 80s, there wasn't that much competition when it came to content. There were only so many channels you could watch, right? Right now, you have YouTube, which we're on. Thank you, YouTube. We have 100,000 streaming services, and in some places they have basic TV still that people will still watch. So there's a lot more going on now than there was back then. When it comes to O2, right? Unfortunately, I think they missed the mark when it came to that because of the timing was just off, and it was on Cartoon Network on, if I remember correctly, it was like a Saturday night on Cartoon Network or something, which was not the ideal time to kind of really pick up a huge kid audience. But the show wasn't really designed for kids, so that was the other thing too. So I think that timing had a lot to do with a lot of this. So let's jump into the votes real quick. Mon, do you want to go first again?
Well, I'm going with 83. There's no questions. All right. 83 is the one to go with. There is no little girls watching this new Netflix 2022. There was nobody watching that. The only people that might have watched that was us trying to get a review for this episode.
All right, Mo, go for it. Who are you voting for in this, as far as cultural impact and legacy?
Okay, I'm gonna go with 83, no doubt. One, because it impacted my culture and my legacy. Everything about it in 83 was, one, because it was new. It was never seen before or whatever. So I got to experience it in real time. No duplicates, no other versions. It was just what it was. So I feel like that made the most imprint of all of the different versions of it. And Charles makes a good point on the 2022, what could impact down the line. Unfortunately, we won't know till that comes. And honestly, I mean, based off of how Barbie came so hard in the theater, I can't say that you're wrong. So
stop it. You're talking apples and oranges. Bobby, from the get-go, Bobby's always been focused on girls.
Yes, but
Masters of the Universe has never been really focused on girls.
No, but what I'm saying is that culture-wise, things have changed. So I don't know what's going to be the catalyst that impacts girls of today.
I disagree.
All right, I hear you. And Chuck, what's your vote on this?
Yeah, I think we have to mention 22. We have to mention it, right? You have to understand that has the potential to be something incredible. However, when I have to cast a vote, I'm going to say 83 because I know exactly what it did do. I have the data. When we're sitting here talking about it 40 years later and we're calling it a top 10 cartoon of all time, we're sitting here 40 years later and I have He-Man sneakers because of this, right? Then you have to, we're talking about the impact that it had. And there are very few cartoons that had bigger impact than 83 He-Man.
Okay, I'm sorry, but nobody's talking about this Netflix version of Masters of nobody. We're the only ones doing this right now. Okay, people are not talking about this cartoon.
So besides Moan's outburst there of anger, 2022 wasn't as bad as the people said it was. It got a lot of people. It lost a lot of people after the first half of the first season, right? It was, and the second half of the first season was a lot better, which is the reason why it seems like there's going to be a season 2. But when it comes to cultural impact, He-Man toys were amongst the top selling toys ever. There were other companies that basically were selling their children just to be able to touch that He-Man money because they were doing so well back in '83. So when it comes to cultural impact, when you hear the term, he's a big, strong He-Man, people are thinking about '83. So for me, I'm voting '83 for me personally, just because I agree with that. It was out of the 3 shows, it definitely had the bigger impact. And to say before, 02, unfortunately, was maybe mismanaged as far as reaching that greater audience. And 22 actually did a pretty good job of promoting itself to get out there, but 83 was definitely again, the clear cut winner in this category of cultural impact.
I just want to say real quick, off of your point. My wife was doing something yesterday where she picked something up, and I was like, "Yo, all right, Mr. He-Man, like relax, right?" So to your point, I just threw that out there, and she knew what I was talking about, '83 version. So yes,
yeah.
All right.
And Adrian also makes a great point with those toy sales. It was He-Man and it was Transformers that were the cream of the crop. That Christmas time,
100%. And I don't know if this is the place to do it, but I have a painful story with Transformers toys.
Go for it.
Also, real quick before you go into that story, Moon, we still, when we talk about one-liners with cartoons, I Have the Power is an absolute.
It's the number.
It's the gold standard.
Yeah,
gold standard.
Yeah. When it came to the Transformer toy, which I think was number 2, I think it was He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe. But as I had all the Transformers. I had every single one. I was able to connect them into the big monster, the big Transformers. And I was in my hallway one day playing with all of them, right? And the news came out and said, Transformers toys are believed to have lead in them.
Oh,
I remember.
My mother walked into the hallway, scooped all of them up, put them all in the trash bag, and threw them out that day. That day. And then it came out, oh no, they're okay. The toys are fine. I had them all, bro. I had them all. Because that's what I was into. Transformers was the one I was into.
She just threw away $100,000, all collectible.
All gone.
I would have had a serious talk with my mother that day. I'll never let her live that down. Yeah. So
I brought it up to her the other day.
So when it comes to the winner of He-Man versus He-Man versus He-Man, we have a winner. Coming in third place, He-Man 2022, or really Masters of the Universe Revelations, coming in with 4 votes. At number 2, He-Man 2002, coming in at 7 votes. And a very close win, He-Man 83 comes in at 9 votes for the GOAT. So as we all expected, I think He-Man 83 won, but I didn't think we all expected it to be this close. So again, I want to give a big thanks to my fellows here from the Real Review. Remember, keep an eye out. We will have new material coming out on the Real Review really soon. And in the meantime, thanks you guys for joining. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. Am I missing one? No? All right, let's go. Call obviously He-Man 83s with my pad.
Are you queuing yourself out? Are you queuing yourself out?
My pad hit the keyboard and they started playing the thing. I was
What the hell just happened here?
I said, he said, it's too much. Queue out.
All right.
Tune in next time to get the results.